Yep, so I just got back from John Deere today, and I described my dilemma before with these liners. I thought one was different than the other, and it certainly is. Thought they gave me the wrong part. Went to John Deere, and they swear up and down they gave me the right part. So I guess I'm going to go with that, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to confirm that the new one, and this is the new one here, I wanted to confirm that the new one, when I push it down in, when I push it down in here, that the bottom of this passes the two O-rings in the bottom of the block, because there's probably a good, there's probably, what do you guys think? Maybe close to a ½ inch difference there, I'd say. So so I did that. I pushed this one down through. I checked it. This does sit down a little bit lower. The old one sits down a little bit lower than the new one. I pushed the new one down in here, and just to give you an idea, it does go past the last O-ring. So so I'm glad I checked with John Deere. The original part number, I think I showed you guys this, is on here. It's what is that? R502260, right? And then the kit that I got is, you son of a bitch, that includes the new liner, has a piston in it, is 520768. They checked my it's a 5065E. They confirmed that. I went through and told them my engine. This tractor was built in India, assembled in India, and the motor is a 3029T, and it's PY22. All right, and they checked everything and said, yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying it is. That's the liner for it. So they must have built them with the longer liner in, and now it looks like that smaller liner will fit. What I did was, not only did I visually check it, but what I did was I just stuck I stuck my chalk line down there and grabbed the edge. Let me grab the edge down there. I don't know if you could see that or not, but I'm grabbing the edge with my chalk, so I'm just going to get, that's the way I'll measure it. Now if I come up and attach it to this liner here, hold on a second. I'm going to attach that to the liner. You can basically see that from the bottom to there, I have about, it's about even with the bottom of this guy right here. But that's to the bottom. That's not to the O-ring. That's to the bottom of what accepts the liner. And so if you were to look, I'm going to try and show you that. I wish my lighting was a little better here. That's a little better. But you have this. You have one O-ring, two O-rings. Below the last O-ring, there's about, if I'm feeling with my finger here, there's about a ½ inch gap of steel beyond the last O-ring. And then that's where I'm clipping on. So I'm clipping onto there, and when I clip on here, it brings me up to the top. So that means my O-ring is going to have about a half inch of coverage up on this liner. So the liner, I guess the long and short of it is, even though this is shorter than the original, it is going to go past the liner. I'm sorry, it is going to go past the last O-ring by a ½ inch. So we're still good. And I confirmed that the diameters of these are the same. Everything else is the same. This offset, I mean, it's a little bit of trickery here, but it looks like, hey, wait a minute, but this is lower than this groove here, this insert. But if you pick this, you gotta, well, let me just turn them over. That'll make the difference. If I turn them over like this, all right, so I'm going to turn them upside down, so they're upside down. But look, those grooves are matching up. They're the same. It's just this end piece here is a little bit longer, which is irrelevant. It's actually irrelevant. So these line up. This distance down here is the same as this distance up here. These grooves are the same. This is just a little longer. And by God, I hope I'm right. That's what John Deere's telling me. They're telling me I'm right. They're correcting me. They're saying that's the right one. They don't make any other one for this motor. So here we go. All right. So I'm gonna start getting these guys in. Okay. So I got 2 liners installed right now. I'm gonna install the third here. Let me just get this just right. There you go. So I got my kit, the one we talked about, and it is the liner, the piston, and what do you know? Some O-rings, etc. Alright, so here we go. We have right here, we have 3 for the liner. We have, if you really look at these close, alright, this guy here is called the rectangular packing ring. If you look at those real close, this is more rectangular. These 2 are round, they're O-rings. Alright, this is a red, sometimes it could be a white one in the package. That one goes in a certain spot. The black O-ring goes on the very bottom. This packing ring goes around the liner. I'll show you how these are installed. So that comes with the kit. I'm going to set those here for now. Okay. So let's pull out the liner. This is the new liner. It comes wrapped up because they don't want these damn things to rust in transit. So I'd keep them wrapped up until you're actually going to use them. You don't want them sitting out in the garage and they start collecting rust, and all of a sudden you got to clean them, and they're covered with oil in the package there, but you just want to keep them wrapped up. So this one, that's ready to go. Look at that baby, nice and brand new. That's going to serve some years of purpose there. So here we go. So I'm going to turn this upside down. I do have my manual here. I'm going to show you a few things. So if I come over here, I wanted to show you right out of the book. So there's a section, I think this is group 13 here. Group 13 on installing the liners. So you can see the liner that says liner packing installation. Apply soap to new packing and install over liner until it contacts liner shoulder. Liner packing must be compressed to the minimum specified. Okay, now this shows you here the packing. This is the rectangular one now, okay? Shows you the wrong way to do it, and it shows you the right way to do it. So we're going to do it the right way. Alright, we're going to get that one done. So let's come back over here. Alright. Just give me 1 second there. Yep. So basically what that's saying is that rectangular liner goes around this this differential here, right in here, okay? So we're going to take that rectangular one, and we are going to install that. I'm going to do it dry for now. All right. I don't want these to move inside. Let me just say it this way. I don't want there to be soap behind this rectangular packing, just because I don't want it to move. So I'm going to elect to put this baby on here the correct way without any soap or anything yet. Okay, we got that on there. Done. Piece of cake. No big deal. Mosquito, get out of here. Alright, so let's go back to the book. Next thing is, let's go in here. Alright, liner O-ring installation. What does that say? What does that say, young Johnny? Apply lubricating soap to new O-rings. We'll do that. Install O-rings in respective grooves. Okay. Rectangular section packing. That's the one we just did. So it's telling us here that is A. It says over here A. So we already did that, right? It's on the liner. I just haven't pushed the liner in yet. We also have B and C. D is the liner, E is the block. So B, the next one down, is it's the red or white O-ring. And then below that is C, and that is the black O-ring, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring these new O-rings over to the block. I'm not going to put them on the liner. I'm going to put them on the block. I'm going to put them in the grooves, all right? So I can't do this with one hand, so I'm going to have to set this camera down for a second. Actually, I'm going to shut you off. I'll show you. I'm going to put this one in the upper and the black one in the lower. Piece of cake, right? So far, so good. Okay, so let me just show you here. I just only took me 5 minutes. I just put those liners in down there. You can see the red ones on the top, blue ones on the bottom. I put them in dry still, no soap. Let me show you, no soap. I'm hearing all kinds of controversies out there about, you know, soap them up, soap them before you put them on, soap them after you put them on. I didn't soap them at all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to soap them here at the very end and just stick my hand in there. You'll see, I'll get those and I'll get the packing one on the liner. So, you know, they're in there, piece of cake. Here's my liner. All right, so doesn't take very long. You just got to take your time. Make sure those grooves are cleaned out. I use compressed air as well. The other thing I'm doing is, see this, the upper groove here? You know, that's where that liner sits down against there. You want to make sure there's no remaining crud on there. You know, just because I was in there with my hand and putting the liners in and stuff. I saw some crap before I wiped it out, but I'll stick my rag down in there and just do one last wipe. You know, because if there's a piece of shit on there, then your liner's not going to get out all the way, and guess what? Then you're running into trouble, and you don't want that. So I don't want that, certainly. So let's just one last wipe around that groove down there, and take a final look here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'd say we're going to put that liner in now. So here we go. Let me bring this back here. Hopefully you can. Well, let me get you up a little higher here. Just get a box. There we go. Let's see. So we're going to set this box here, and just give me 1 second. This is professional photography for you at its finest. Just takes me a minute. There we go. Okay. Alright. Don't fall, camera. There you go. Alright, so I'm going to show you how easy this actually is. Right, so now I got those in there, and I'm using Dawn dish soap. You know, Dawn gets oil out of the way, right? So here we go. I'm going to just take some here. Hit the bottom of this guy all the way around. I might even do this. I'll just run some on there. I'm going to do the whole doggone thing because that's what I did with the other ones and it seemed to work fine. Okay, now that one's done. I'll do those O-rings in here. Now, you'll read everywhere, you'll read in the John Deere manual, do not use oil. Do not. Petroleum causes that red, I believe it's the red O-ring in there, or it's this packing. It's one or the other. Petroleum causes that packing, or the red O-ring. I'd have to read up. I forget which one. It causes it to swell. So you put the oil on there, the thing's going to start swelling like a bastard. You're not going to be able to get the liner in. So use a non-petroleum type soap. Something. Grab it out of the kitchen, and you'll be ready to go. So watch. I'm going to turn this. If you turn it, you'll get past the first O-ring. Bam! See that? Shouldn't be very hard. You should be able to turn that. And now, the last one, I'm just going to get my rubber hammer here. I'm just going to keep tapping, pushing a little bit, tapping all the way around. Keep going. Looks like it's in. It looks pretty good. Yep. Just wipe that off. And you know, it shouldn't be very hard. You know, it's going to be a little snug. With a little tapping, it'll happen. You can make it happen. All right. So now I got all 3 of those babies in. To show you, I'm going to move this light real quick here. Okay. And let's go underneath the tractor. We go underneath. I just want to show you what it looks like. I suppose if one of the O-rings twisted or something like that, I suppose the O-ring would be sticking out the bottom, or you'd be able to see something funky going on down here. But let me just, I'm under the tractor. Come on. There you go. So I'm gonna look up in there, if you can see. Right, you can see that liner. See that, the back, you can see the liner right there. See, it looks like it's sitting pretty good. This one you can even see a lot better. Look at that one. That liner. That liner right there. You can see it protruding out of the block. It's probably protruding out of the block by about a ½ an inch. So you can see it's in there. And of course we actually, that's the number 2 right there, but you get a good view of that. If I turn the cam shaft on this guy, if I can turn it by hand, hold on a minute. If I can turn this baby. Yeah, okay. Let's go to the number 3. And you can look up there in the number 3 and you know, it looks pretty good. I don't see anything that causes me concern. It went in pretty well. All 3 pretty much went in the same, you know, about the same level of effort. So I think we're pretty good shape. The O-rings are good. Everything's good. Everyone's happy. Mr. Engine's going to be happy. So yeah, I think we're good. So that. Okay, so next step is to work on the pistons. So I've done 2, I'm going to do the 3rd here, but I'll keep track of the cylinders. This is the number 1, okay. And again, what John Deere recommends on these guys, unless there was some other damage to the piston that was visible, I guess you could measure the tolerances if you want, but you know, I am putting a new piston top on here. Putting a new one of these guys on. You could check the tolerance of the bushing of the upper part of the piston shaft. All of these look pretty good. They don't feel like they're moving around much. I could check the tolerance on the bushing, but I'm not going to. That's probably the only really thing I could check on here. But because I'm going to replace the bearings down here as we talked about, I got a pair of those. So let's take this apart. There's basically a snap ring in here, so you got to take this snap ring out. Run down to the auto parts store and pick yourself up a pair of the snap ring tool. Pretty simple to use. So I'm going to pull that snap ring out. Grab it. Grab it, get it out of there. There's the old snap ring right there. So that's out. Now what you do is, I don't have to take the other one out because all I got to do is push the this guy out of the piston. What's the name of that? I'll tell you what the name of that is. That's the piston pin. So pull the piston pin out of there. I'm not going to use that anymore. I'm just going to take the shaft off. And this whole guy I'm going to disregard, plus that snap ring. I'm going to set that aside. I'm not going to use that anymore. So I do have the replacement here, which is, I think I told you before, the part on here is it's RE520573. It's right on there if you look. Get it just there. So, and also you see that arrow right here. So basically, you can see I have these. I've been doing each one, and these are faced. The front of the motor is that way. So this guy would sit this way, and I know that because there's an F on the front of the shaft right in there. It's an F, so that faces this way. And then on the piston, see that right there? It says front. So that's going to go, and then also the arrow. So that's going to go this way as well. So I'm going to put these on, but first, I'm just going to take a second here and clean out this bushing. Get the oil and crap out of there, anything that might be gunked up. Get a look at it. If I look in there, yeah, it looks, I don't see any marring or scratching or anything that shows any kind of abuse, and so it looks pretty good. So, as with the others, I'm going to proceed. If it was, if it looked really worn and I put this new piston pin on and the piston was really shaking in the bushing here, I would be concerned. At this point, I'm not. So I'm going to take the new piston and I'm going to take out, it's going to sit this way, I'm going to take out the snap ring. It's got, see, it even comes with a snap ring. Comes with the rings on it, comes with a snap ring in it, and comes with the new piston pin. So I'm going to get by the way, don't use the old snap rings. Even if you're working with something and you get a piston and say they forgot a snap ring or they didn't come with whatever you bought, throw it out. Get a new snap ring. That's the first order of business. So I'm going to take the snap ring out, just set that aside. Pull the piston pin out of here. Brandy spanking new. Okay. So first things first, I want to lube these up. And I found this product here. I saw others have used it. It's called Lubriplate 105. This is a type of grease, and it's especially for if you read that, it's for rebuilding engines and transmissions. Soft white anti-wear fortified anti-seize grease prevents scuffing, scoring, and friction during initial start. All right. I'm going to go with that. That makes me feel good. And where I'm going to put that is I'm going to put it inside the shaft here. Right, it's like a white grease. All right, I'm going to wrap that in there. I saw another guy who is much more talented than I am on YouTube who rebuilds engines all the time, and he was using this product, and I said, that makes sense to use that. Why go with any different? I picked up that product at Napa. I tried AutoZone. I tried Pep Boys. I tried Advanced Auto. None of them had it. I went to Napa. They had like 2 bottles left on the shelf. So I was a happy guy. Grabbed it. It was, I don't know, $10, $9, something like that. I'm going to also, in this piston here, I'm going to wrap some Lubriplate in there as well on each side. Right there, just get that all lubed up. All right, now I got to position this back to front. Position this guy to front, which it is. And here we go. So let's take the new piston. Get her in there. Get this guy in there. Let's fish her through all the way. And it's in. So now I just need to put the new snap ring back in. So I got that right here. Yeah, you can see how it goes in. It goes in pretty well. Let me take this out of here so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So we're going to take that, take the old snap ring tool. I'm going to tighten that down. And I'm going to set that in there. The new snap ring. You want to make sure this snap ring is in the groove, no matter what. You do not want the snap ring to be partially in there. And you put this piston back together, and guess what? Out comes the snap ring, and you got problems. I don't even want to worry about that. So I'm just going to use the screwdriver to push it the rest of the way in there. Once it's in there, I'm just going to grab it just to make sure I can move it around and it's in the groove. Let me wipe this off a second here. Get some of that lubriplate off. There you go, I can turn that pretty good, and I can see it's in the groove on both sides. So that's that. Let's see, put that back in there. Just want to check that again. Yep, it's in there. Good, so there we go. So that's done. Now we got the new piston head on there. Got the lubriplate on there. And so the last thing to do, and you know, again, that feels pretty good. Doesn't move much, just moves back and forth a little bit. Doesn't jiggle in there or anything. So last part to deal with is back here. Remember I told you about the bearings. So I'm going to take out the 2 bolts. Throw those puppies away. Don't use them. We got some brandy new ones right here. And that's what you want to use. You don't want to use the old ones. Take that off of there, and you can see inside there is a bearing, and on the other side of this piston is a bearing. So we're going to pull those out. I just use a small, if you look in here, there is a little groove here that aligns the bearing in here. So I usually use my little screwdriver and I get it in there and I'll pop this out. It comes right out. Both sides are the same way. This has a groove in there too. I don't know if you can see that on the bearing, but it does. So look how simple this is. I'm just going to lay this down. Look at that. Bingo, comes right out. That's basically it right there. It's got the same number as all the others. The old one here and the new one match. It's R516361. Set that aside. Now you want to first just clean this in here. Get all this shit out. Clean that. Don't put lubriplate on that side. You just want to first set the new bearing in there. You don't have to put any lubrication behind there. You want to put lubriplate on the front of this when you put it on the camshaft. But so this has again has the groove. You want to put it in with the groove itself. Makes sense, right? So I'm just going to push that in there. Align it. Done. Okay? Piece of cake. Now, I'm going to take this one out of here. I'm going to use a little screwdriver here just to pop it out. That's the old one. Right? Clean it up. Good enough for me. Take the new one. Same number. Pop that in there with the groove. You can see the groove on this piece on the front right there. Yeah, you can see it right there a little bit. So match the groove. Put this on. Push it in. Align it. And shazam! Look at that, ready to go. So the nice thing too that I want to point out, this guy, one groove is a little wider than the other. So that you can't screw up putting this thing back on. Even though it's perfectly symmetrical, it does go on a certain way, and I think, I don't know, it might have to do with these little recess things here, but, so one tooth, one groove is bigger than the other groove, so basically, you can't screw up. So that's going to go back on that way right there. Okay? That's it for pistons. Next step will be to put lubric plate on this guy, drop it into the liner, use the piston ring compressor tool, and get the pistons down. So we'll talk about that in a minute.